Alright, welcome back to part 21 of the Bugatti Bolide design. And in the last tutorial we created the surfaces here and we got a lot closer to the surfaces that we have here, and we left some space here for the rear lights, and then there's going to be a rear light down here as well. Okay, so what we aim to accomplish in this tutorial and is actually the rear splitter here, and then the exhaust. So yeah, it's going to be some extruded solids body, this exhaust, and that's the first thing that I want to create, because once I create them, it will give me some construction lines that I can use to create our lower rear splitter, right? Rear splitter, not front splitter that I said before. All right, so let's have a look at this picture here, and then we can see that this splitter is actually, as you can see, it comes in that direction, so it's not bigger. The splitter is not bigger than this actual surface, so it comes in an angle. So we have to create a scaffolding that kind of comes in and about this way, and maybe a little bit up, right? And then we have a scaffolding that goes around this way as well. All right, so but before we do that, what I want to do is I want to create the exhaust here. So I'm gonna jump into our first display state, and then in the first display state I'm going to create a sketch on the front plane. I'm going to leave plane 10 here. I'm going to create a sketch on the front plane and press normal to profile, and then actually before we do that, let's hide some of these lines here. All right, and let's hide some of these points because we don't need them anymore. Let's hide this one as well. Okay, what else we have here? Let's just hide a few things here that we don't need. Let's hide this plane as well. Just clean up a little bit. And there's some plane here as well. Well, that's not it. Okay, so that's good. So yeah, so if you press spacebar here and you jump in here, we can see the end of our exhaust, how far it comes out, and of course we're going to chop it down, right? So we're going to create a sketch on the front plane. Okay, create a sketch on the front plane, and we're going to add a center line, and this center line we're going to bring it from about here. Okay, and that's going to be our plane. Okay, so exit the sketch, and we're going to add our plane onto this line here. So select the line and then select the point, and we are right on spot on that. So press OK. All right, and then we're going to make a sketch on this plane. So make a sketch. All right. So all we have to do now is basically find the surface here. So that's the top surface, and we know already that this surface will comes down here, and it will goes around here, and that's going to be at our upper surface for the top body of the vehicle. So we need to work in that field, so we're going to be in this area here, and the surface goes here, right? Okay, so let's draw a circle, and let's draw a circle somewhere in the middle here. Hopefully we're gonna be in the middle, right in the middle of that. All right, so that's our surface right there. It's right, so we're gonna come out to about here. Okay, and then we're going to draw another circle down here, and I just want to pull this circle a little bit lower down. Okay, and I want to click on this line, hold Control and click on this line and make them equal. Okay, so now they are equal, so equal spaces, right? Pull them up, Control C to put them into place. All right, can also put an anchor on this one, anchor on this point, right? So now if I move it, right? Okay, so let's make it about that size right there. That's good. And then we're gonna draw another circle. And let's remember, surface is going to be here. So the surface is going to be about this much, right? So it gives a good thickness for our solid exhaust here, right? So that's that circle, and this is this circle here. Exit the sketch, and we're gonna click on this line here, hold Control and this line, and make them equal. Okay, so that's good. And now I just want to add a center line right in the middle here. And I want to mirror these entities over. I want to mirror all of them over, right? And I'm going to mirror it over this line here, right? And we are right on spot on that. Okay, and then all we're going to do now is we're just going to extrude this. So extrude, and we are going to extrude the other way around. And for now, we're just gonna keep it about, going to extrude into about that far. And we can always cut down from it if we need to when we connect it to the engine. But for now, we're just going to leave it like that. Press OK. All right, and we're just going to look at it from the side here. Okay, and then I'm going to add our glass appearance here. The glass appearance. I want to add the blue glass. I want to add on the whole thing. Okay, so we already know that we trimming down in that direction, in that angle, right? So let's make a sketch on the front plane, and then let's draw that line from here to here. Okay, exit the sketch, and we're just gonna go to Features and cut extrude, and let's grab this arrow and cut through that. Alright, so if we jump into our second display state, our exhausts are now cut into perfect shape. Alright, so that's what I was looking for. Okay, so let's hide this plane for now, and let's hide this line as well. And let's hide some of these lines as well here because we don't need them, and let's hide the points. Okay, and I want to jump into a 3D sketch here, 3D center line, and I want to make a so basically if I hover over this edge, this will come up and it will drop it right in the center there. It's a 3D sketch, so right on the center there. So it's right on that axis dip. So this will help us add our construction scaffolding to create our rear splitter. Right. All right, so let's grab another center line here, construction line, and we're gonna add the construction right at the middle point of that geometry that we just created. And we want to be in the Y and X. Just gonna drop it over here for now. Alright, and we're gonna jump into our first display state and then add our motor profile. And we're just gonna grab this line here, and we're just gonna drop it right on the edge of that rear splitter. Okay, so now we have our first scaffolding for the rear splitter right there. So that looks good. Okay, so let's jump over to our second display state. So now that our first scaffolding is set for a splitter, we know already how our rear splitter is going to end up. And the second scaffolding construction line I'm going to add is going to be from this corner, and I want to be probably first tab. Yeah, let's be in the X and Y axis here for now. All right, and we're just gonna jump to the top. All right, and as we said before, this actually is small. The start point of the rear splitter is smaller than this body here. So if we jump over to our first display set, we won't see much from here except the wings, spoiler, right? So if we jump into the side here, and we can just pull it down to about here, and that's where it's going to start our. That's where we're going to start our rear splitter. So let's just check from the top as well. I want to make sure that we are gonna be smaller than we are, but not too much, right? Alright, so that's probably going to be enough. Let's exit the sketch. Alright, and now let's grab a 3D spline. Let's grab a 3D spline. And let's add that 3D spline from this point to this point, simply. Alright, and we're just going to add a whole bunch of control points on this line here, right? So add insert spline point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe one more here, 7. Exit the sketch. And if you jump to the rear view here, click on that line, and let's add our control polygons there. Let's click on one of these points here. So now we can see where our line should be. All right. So something like that. We can move the rear, we can move that one. So we want to make sure that we be below that point, so it's coming down in that direction. So that's where our second rear light is going to be. So there's going to be one up here, and there's going to be one down here. Let's jump onto a picture here so we can see how front splitter is. So we can see that we have quite a bit of gap around this area, and then it comes down in this direction, right? As I can see, we're gonna have to pull this line a little bit more inwards here. So we're going to exit the sketch. Right, and I'm going to edit this small sketch here, edit that sketch. And jump to the back here. And we know already we need to pull this down a little bit to about here. And next to this sketch. Okay, jump to the back again. And now we are right on point with that one. So we're going to go back onto the sketch here, edit the sketch. Click on these control points and let's fix up this rear splitter. So we have quite a bit of gap there, just as the picture shows to us. So it goes down like that. I want to add a relationship here and I want to fix that along the z-axis. I'm going to back on these lines here. Okay. Let's put this here. And that's here. And if we look at, let's look at that picture. And we are almost good from this side, right? Okay, now let's have a look from this side. Let's fix up. And we can see that we have quite a bit of work to do from this angle. Okay, let's bring in our first display state here. Alright, so we can see a lot better here how things actually really are. So we're going to try to follow this line up. Alright, so it's almost straight. And then now we're going to jump back into our second display state. Let's have a look from this angle. And just fix it up here a little bit. Just jump back into the back. And we are still on target. Quite a bit of space left. Okay, and then let's just double check everything from the side. And we can see already we need to just pull this out to about here. That's good. Just double check from the back. and we're looking good from the back. Let's just double check from the top, and that's the best we can do with the top, so that's good. All right, so so the next point we need is actually we need to create a spot here down inside here. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit the sketch, and we're going to grab another 3D construction line, not a circle but a construction line, and we're gonna go from this point, and we want to be in the Y and X, which we are, and we're gonna come all the way into about here. Okay, and then exit the sketch, and then we're going to add another 3D construction line we on downwards, right? So we want to be in the Y and X as well, so let's drop it to here, right? So now we have that line there, perfect. Okay, so now we can move this line, so we can determine and we can decide where we want our point to start. So we're gonna go from here, and it's going to curve underneath, and it's gonna touch on that point, right? So let's move this maybe a little bit to about here, right? And then exit this sketch, and then we're going to grab another 3D sketch through the spline from this point down to not all the way down, but a little bit up, right? To about there. Okay, now we're just going to give this a profile. Let's give this a relation and fix it along the x-axis. And let's try that. Okay, that's looking good. However, actually, I want to try and pull this. I want to pull that line. I want to pull the line all the way down here. Maybe just a little bit up, like that. Okay, so I'm going to exit the sketch, and then what I want to do is I want to add another line, 3D line, 3D spline, and I want to be on the X and Z axis. So press tab, and I want to pull this. So about here. Okay, and I want to grab another spline, and I want to connect this point with this line here. Okay, I want to cut this axis here. There you go. Well, that's not where I want it to be connected, so let's delete that. Okay, so let's grab the spline again and let's connect from this point to this point here. Okay, so that's exactly where I want it to be. All right. So now exit the sketch. And then we're going to do a fill surface and see what we can do with these sketches here. So it's curving in here, so we need to add another control curve. Somewhere about here. The sketch, 3D sketch, spline. And I'm going to add that spline from here to that line right there. Okay, and then I'm going to grab this line. I'm going to adjust that to that first line that we had. Okay, let's exit the sketch. And let's go to surfaces, fill surface, select the sketches. And let's select our constraint curve, which is this one here. Not looking nuts, and now it's looking a lot better actually. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's good. Let's have a look at the picture here. Yeah, so we're right on target with that one. All I want to do now is go to trim surfaces, use this as a trim tool, and I want to cut this one out. Okay, so that completes that surface, the real sleeve splitter surface. And all I want to do is trim this part as well, hopefully. So trim. So let's select as a trim tool and trim this section here. Okay. So that's looking good. And then now let's go to features, mirror, and let's use the front plane. And then bodies to mirror is going to be this one here. All right, and now let's try and trim this surface here as well. So let's go to surfaces, trim surface. Let's use this as a trim tool. Get rid of that one. Okay, and then we're looking good. So let's go to the back. And that's where we're going to add our ribs on here. Okay, so that completes the rear splitter for this surface. However, on the next tutorial, we're going to come back and we're going to work on this sketch just a little bit. I want to pull this out a little bit more. Actually, edit the sketch. You can do that right now. So jump to the side here. And just pull this down about here. Exit the sketch. Okay, and that looks a lot better. All right, so let's take off the edges here. All right, so now that looks a lot better, like perfect. And we can always adjust it a little bit better, but I'm pretty happy with it. And in the next tutorial, we're going to add the further ribs that is going on here. However, one more thing we can do is we can go to thicken here, and then we can thicken this surface. And let's try one. Okay, and let's thicken the other side as well. Well, so let's delete this face. Okay, so we're gonna do that in the next tutorial. We're gonna fix this problem, and we're gonna thicken this rear splitter. So let's delete this thicken for now. Alright, so thanks very much for staying with me in this tutorial, and I'm gonna see you back in the next tutorial where we're gonna complete the rear splitter here. And then if you're just tuning into my channel, don't forget to start watching my tutorials from part 1. And then also, if you would subscribe to my channel, it means a lot to me. Alright, thanks very much. Bye bye.